Now we will take a look at widgets, and essentially what widgets are additional areas outside of our main content area, such as on our poster page, and it allows us to put additional content or functionality in these areas. Now, the most popular areas for widgets are the sidebar, so there's recent posts, recent comments, archives. Categories are in fact widgets, and the footer area is another popular area for widgets, and sometimes you can find widgets in our header area, and it really does depend on the theme that you are using, or sometimes a plugin can add additional widget areas. Now, to change this, just go back to our admin area, go to appearance and select widgets, and on the left hand side we will see a list of the available widgets, and on the right hand side you'll see the areas where you can put these widgets. So if you remember, on our main site we had our search function, or recent posts, recent comments, archives, categories, and metadata. Okay, so this particular theme has 1, 2, 3 areas that we can place widgets: the primary sidebar, content sidebar, and the footer widget area. Now, to add a widget to any of these areas, we can simply drag the widget from the available widget section and drop it in the area where we want the widget to go. And once we do that, we will see some additional options depending on the widget to customize that widget, such as we can add a title, and in this case for the calendar that's basically all that we can do. And then we would save it, and we can close that. And to just edit the settings of any of these widgets, just simply select this drop down arrow, and you, of course, you see the option to delete the widget, so you can remove the widget from the area. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to delete this widget. I am going to remove the archives widget, the metadata widget, the categories widget, and I want to add a custom menu widget. And the popular widgets will appear here are your archives, your calendar, your custom menu, pages, and they're pretty self-explanatory, and they have a bit of blurb below them to tell you what it's about. And these are default, they come with pretty much every theme that you have, but some themes will have additional widget options, and depending on some of the plugins that you may have installed, you will see additional widgets or options for your widgets. Okay, and like I said, a description will be displayed below these widgets. And another way that you can add a widget, let me just say that, is to click on the widget, because sometimes dragging and dropping the widget into your widget area, for example, let me cancel this. If you had a long list of widgets and you're at the very bottom here, and you have to drag this widget, and you have to scroll up to the top to find, say, this widget area, then it can be sort of a pain. So if you click on the widget, then you will just see an option as to where you can put the widget. So for example, if I wanted to put a custom menu in the footer widget area, then I just hover over it, select it, and then add widget, and the widget would go inside that area. And then I could just go in, select the menu. In this case I only have one menu, So I just save there. And to change the order of your widgets, you can just simply hover over it until you see this icon appear that looks like a cross, and you can just drag and drop, and that's really how easy it is to change around the order of your widgets. And at the very bottom you'll see an area that says inactive widgets. Now widgets will appear here if you put them there, for one. So for example, if you have a particular widget that you have configured and you don't want to use it, you can place it in your inactive widget, but you don't necessarily want to delete it because you may want to use it in the future. So you can put it under inactive widgets. Also, sometimes widgets will appear in the inactive widgets area if, for example, you change your theme and the new theme doesn't have a sidebar or widget area similar to the previous theme, and so WordPress doesn't know exactly where to put the widget based on the old configurations into your new theme. So it may just place those widgets in the inactive widgets. So the last thing is just to save, and then we can go over to our site and we can look at the changes. So if we just refresh our site, and you will see that our metadata has been removed, and we have added our custom menu on the left sidebar as well as in the footer area. Now, of course, this doesn't look as nice as I'd want it to, but it's just something for you to test out and drag and drop and chop and change until you're satisfied with how these widgets are displayed on your site. Okay? In this video, I just want to look at users and how we can edit user profiles, how we can create new users, and some of the functionalities that are available to users. Now, if you look in the top right hand corner, you will see Howdy DHWPVS, and this is just a name that I've assigned to the user, that level that I am logged in as, which is an admin user, and I can go in and edit my profile. And in this area, I'll be able to do things like disable the visual editor when writing. I can change the color scheme. Right now it's using default, but I could go ahead and select something like coffee, and you will see that the color scheme has changed. Let me put it back to the default. You can enable keyboard shortcuts for comment moderation, show toolbar when viewing sites, and this is what happens when we are currently logged in. That's that bar that appears at the very top that I spoke about. And in this area you can just add some additional information, and this information will affect your author information when you create posts. So if I put my name there, and then I can create a nickname, Johnny, or I can put Jack, and then I'll have the option to display a name publicly that may be separate or different or a shortened version of my full name. So for example, I could put Jack for my posts and pages, or I could put my full name, John Brown, and we can also change our contact information here, put a link back to our website, some additional bio information, and in this area we can also go ahead and change our password that we use to log in. And all you simply have to do is just put in a new password, repeat the new password, and then update the profile. Now the next thing I want to look at, and if you just look at the top here, you will see that now it is saying John Brown instead of DHVPS, which was showing before, because this is what I've selected to show as my public name. But the next thing we want to look at is under the users tab. You see users. We can view all the users that are on our site, and you can see there's only one, which is me. And you can just see the row, which is administrator. And if we go to add new, we can add additional users based on the levels. Now, let me just give you an idea of what the particular, of course you would put the username, email, first name, last name, etc. and create a password. But what's actually most important is the role of this user. Okay, so at the very highest, which is the administrator, let me start with that one. And the administrator can do everything on the website. They can add posts, pages, edit posts and pages, and change additional functionality, change themes, plugins, and like I said, do just about everything. An editor would not have access to change plugins and themes and other such functionality, but they would be able to add content such as posts and pages and edit the content of other users. Okay? An author would be able to add content such as posts, but would only be able to edit that content that they have created. So they wouldn't be able to edit other authors' content. An editor could do that, but not an author. A contributor would be able to create content. So a contributor could create a post. So for example, if you have a guest blogger who you allow to create a blog post on your site, they'll be able to create the post, but the post would remain unpublished until either an editor or an administrator approves it. And last but not least is the role of a subscriber, and the subscriber is basically only able to view content that has been created on your site. Okay? A subscriber would not be able to create content or edit content. They'd just be able to view. Okay? So, depending on the type of site you're running, you may want to have multiple authors to create content on your site. You may want an additional administrator to do maintenance and updates. Or if you just have, say, a membership site, you'd want to allow subscribers to be able to access your content. Okay, and that's it for users.